Hello and welcome to the garden. We've got a few jobs we're going to be looking at today. Firstly, we're going to start with strawberries and how to propagate them and get more plants for next year so you get more delicious fruits. We're going to look at summer containers, how to keep them flowering and looking good right the way through till the autumn. And then if you stay with us at the end, we're going to look at herbs, but give you some tips on how you can enjoy that fresh flavour right the way through the winter months. One of the loveliest fruits in the summer that we can grow in the garden is strawberries, and the great thing about them is that they're quick to produce flowers and fruit. They've now finished for the season, and what tends to happen is when the plants have been picked over, you've eaten all the strawberries, they grow these big long runners. I grow mine in pots, but even if they're growing in the garden, in the soil, you get these big long runners. And this is how a strawberry plant naturally spreads in the wild, because these creep along the ground where they touch moisture, roots form, and you've got a new plant. So very quickly, one strawberry plant becomes this big area of ground cover plants. And this is also how we propagate them if we want to produce some new plants for our garden. So this is producing a runner here, and what we're going to do is to peg them down into some pots of compost. So I'm taking this runner and we've got a nice little pot of compost just here, and I'm going to trim off any bits we don't want. So I'm going to use this plant here. So I'm going to trim off beyond it, and I'm going to trim off this side shoot. So I've just got the one runner here, and then using a pot of compost, I'm going to make a little hole, just push it so that these, we call these adventitious roots, it's already trying to root even though there's no moisture or compost there. Just push that so it's in contact, and then to hold it in position, because that will spring out. And ideally, of course, you need to be doing this where you're not going to move them for a few weeks. I've just got some wire there and bent it into a hoop, and I'm just going to push that down so that holds that firmly in position in the compost. And from this plant here, I could get at least half a dozen new plants. So I'd peg them down, keep those watered, they will root. So they're still connected at the moment with this stalk to the main parent plant, but as soon as those roots have developed on the end of our new strawberry plant here, I'll get the secateurs cut through that, and then we've got our own plant in a pot that we can grow on, plant out, and next year we'll get delicious fruit from that. A great way to get colour in the garden on your patio through the summer is to grow bedding plants and tender perennials, and they really do add masses and masses of colour. And this is just a very simple little pot. It actually came as a pot ready planted up that was then grown on, and it's got a mixture there. We've got pelargoniums, we've got petunias and osteospermum there, which will flower and flower all the way through the summer, as long as we keep them well watered and we feed them with a high potash feed, which will promote even more flowers. And what we need to do on a regular basis with these is to go round them occasionally and deadhead. And I can see on here that the osteospermums have all gone over. So if I just pinch those off, then what that will do will encourage more buds to develop from lower down on the plant to develop. So it really is a case of the more you deadhead, the more flowers you'll get all the way through the summer. And likewise, we've also got this petunia just here, so we can see the flowers gone over. So if we pinch that one on, it will allow these new ones at the top to develop. So it really is worth it. Just once a week, pop round, just deadhead them, they go on the compost bin, and it keeps them all growing really well. And it's the same with hanging baskets, really. This one is just using one particular plant here. It's Calibrachoa, which is a lovely small petunia-like plant that will trail over the edge of them. And again, these need watering on a regular basis. And in the heat of the sun, they can dry out very quickly. So it may need watering at least once a day, and once a week I would again put in that high potash fertiliser to keep them watered. And a little tip with your hanging baskets is, to know when they need watering is to feel the weight of them. When you've watered them, they'll feel really heavy, but I can tell that this one is now quite light to lift. So that means it needs a really good drink until the water rushes through. And then last but by no means least, down here we've got some lovely pelargoniums. We've got the regal pelargoniums and scented pelargoniums, and they have got a lovely flowering period right the way through from late spring until autumn time. But exactly the same as the others, to keep them flowering, we need to pick over them on a weekly basis, make sure we take any faded blooms off them. These love the sun, so these are in the perfect condition, but as a result they do dry out. So what I need to do is to make sure that I go through them with that high potash feed on a daily basis, just top the pots up to keep the roots nicely watered and keep the plants healthy and growing. And they'll look great for weeks and weeks and weeks. There's a really big range of culinary herbs that we can grow in our gardens. They come in all different shapes and sizes, and as well as being able to use them in the kitchen, they all look good as well. So we tend to grow ours in pots and grow them in a position by the back door so that when we need something for the kitchen, you can just pop out and pick a piece. And that's great all the way through the summer. But of course, they die down, some of them. Things like the mints die down in the winter, so they're not there. So in a minute, I'll show you how you can enjoy them fresh through the winter. But this is a really good one to grow. This is thyme, one of the variegated ones. Doesn't matter whether it's the green leaf, variegated, whatever. They're all perfectly edible. They've all got their own little flavour and distinctive taste, and even when they're in flower, which this one is just coming into flower, and these are a magnet for bees and pollinating insects, you can still eat the flowers on them as well, so don't worry about that, they're still perfectly okay. And this is another lovely one here, which is the lemon verbena, and this has got a really heavy scent of lemon, and you can use this to flavour drinks and puddings and ice creams, and it works really well. And this one will stand a little bit of frost, so where we are in North Yorkshire, I put it in the greenhouse over winter, but if you're in a mild district, this one will survive outside. So enjoy them, put them somewhere sunny, make them think they're in the Mediterranean, keep them watered obviously in dry weather and fed. So then we can obviously enjoy these all the way through the summer, but if you want to have them through the winter, there is a little trick that we can do, and that involves an ice cube container like this. And I'm just going to move this down onto the floor because we need also some herbs. And here we have some beautifully chopped herbs from my assistant there. So what we've got here, we've got some marjoram, golden marjoram, which is wonderful. We've got the lemon verbena there, which is chopped, but you can also freeze the leaves individually, parsley and mint. You pack the chopped herbs into an ice cube container. So we'll put a couple of golden marjoram in there, and we'll have a bit of parsley in this one here, and then it's lovely and fresh, put that in there. This is going to be a mixed one, and then we can put a bit of mint in this one just here. And there's all different flavours of mints that you can use, so they go into there. And what we're going to do is have a couple of whole leaves in these. If I pop that there, because these are nice to just freeze them whole, and then you can pop those into a gin and tonic. And then all we do, just with ordinary water, tap water, is we just carefully top those up so that then all those leaves are going to freeze into an ice cube. We might just need to push them down into it to make sure that they're underneath. Pop that into the freezer, let them freeze, and then when you want some parsley, some mint, or whatever, you just pop these out, put them straight into the dish that you cook in. But then the leaves, of course, they can be used in your gin and tonic. So it just means you get that lovely fresh flavour 12 months of the year. So we'd like to thank Cobra Garden who have supported these videos. We'd also like you to share all these videos with your friends if you've enjoyed them, especially this one with the lemon verbena. You need to let everybody know about this because it is the most wonderful herb that you can grow in the garden. So hit the button, like it, share the information, and stay with us because we'll be back soon with more videos.